Well, right. I'm going to try to speak across the discussions from the morning to this present one. It has been said that those who have the power to make the rules will rule. But that doesn't tell you who has the power to make the rules. So I'm going to start with a schema, which is a simple one, which people understand, which cuts across our discussions about social power itself and social power at global level today. So that is the combination of structures and how structures are constituted, agency and how agency is constituted, and the historical dialectics between structure and agency as co-constitutive of each other. So I'm going to start with the recognition that, first of all, I happen to be in agreement with probably vast numbers of people that we're in a very specific time in global history, that the type of crisis that we're having right now is not simply a reiteration of past cycles of crisis. This is a rather unique and profound crisis in global history because it combines so many multiple crises with a world civilizational crisis. At the time we've created a world civilization, the same world civilization faces the danger of failure, collapse, implosion, fragmentation. Long cycles research by many scholars over generations have studied the various kinds of long cycles. We know that systems expand in integration and organization, scale of organization, and so on, and then they can, as Gary pointed out this morning, they give way under their own forces and contradictions, flows, and so on. The energy is dissipated, but eventually there's another reorganization. But at this time, people talk about the era of the Anthropocene. We have the great acceleration. You can look across a whole series of vectors, including the ones you showed, to see what kind of unique situation humanity is in. So there are long cycles. There's a historical evolution of our state system that we've inherited, of our particular international division of labor, the corporations, the banking, and now the globalization of finance. Yes, and the globalization of production. We have a particular structure that has developed. But structures are not fixed and not static. Structures are fluid and dynamic and historical. So they are subject to change by the actions of people, of agency. That's the positive part about what I want to bring in. So this has to do about some of those who think about what it takes to empower, what it takes to spark conscientization of a sort of large numbers of people who've taken an order for granted, don't see it critically. This was discussed this morning. Don't see inside it. They can't necessarily deconstruct it or demythologize it. They can't see themselves necessarily as exploited within it. But then, according to some philosophers, Dussel or Freire and others, there comes a kind of death enters in, or an existential threat, or some precipitate types of situations in which they are provoked to go deeper and to investigate in a serious manner and to share experiences with others. It's collective, it's not individual. To understand the sources of the threat, the negative elements, the destructive elements that are in the social order itself. Once they have done that, they reach a whole other level of awareness, which may lead to transformative action, transformative praxis. Theory and practice together to transform the conditions of your existence and to transform those structures, to transform the world order. So that's always happening in history. That's the good news. It has happened in the past and it's happening now. And it's globalizing. So people sort of then identify the points for action. They identify the issues, the types of alternatives, the political arenas, the social spaces. Yeah, they come up with strategies. And now these social forces emerge and they are transnationalizing. Right? They are globalizing. These they are part of the world civilization. Their resistance to its dominating aspects is internal to the system itself. It's produced by the system. That's the historical dialectics between structure and agency. So that's a kind of new global empowerment, a negation of the existing sources of existential threat, the systems of power and domination and exploitation provoke this response themselves. That doesn't guarantee victories or progressive outcomes. I'm not saying that that is so, but it does create the conditions for those to happen. So I'm actually one of those who sees globalization meaning a historical evolution in global history towards the recognition of humanity as a single category and one community which is reflexive and self-constituted of itself and governing itself in the interest of all. Globalization in its ultimate meaning might be that process of the evolution of historical consciousness of humanity as a whole. That brings about ideas of that we are evolving towards a world society, a genuine world society, not a national society, but a world society. So we are evolving also nascent world polity formation, that is transnationalizing state authority as it was inherited from the past and making it consonant, coherent with the actual material structures which are globalized production, globalized investment, globalized consumption, globalized values to a certain extent. So that's this historical dialectic between structures and agency. They're always in tension and in constant coevolution. So you can talk about transformation from above by very powerful elites, by technology, by expert knowledge, by various forms, but there's also always at the same time together transformation from below, from the mass, from the 99%, as they say now. Now that's globalization from below, which might lead us to this sort of different vision of humanity, kind of from empire or empires to cosmopolis. And that's a great challenge because we are in a profoundly deep and unique global crisis of a world civilization which is only recently consolidated and is already unraveling in fragmentation. We have a moment in history where there are unprecedented technological capacities for communication and reflexivity across the entire planet, but at the same time massive forces of destruction, disintegration, fragmentation, and potential war. So it couldn't be more right that this moment we are in is one of extraordinary danger. But because it is, that's my thesis, but because it is, it also has an unprecedented power to provoke people into this kind of conscientization, this time of the entire global structure itself, and why it must be radically transformed if we're basically to survive. Thanks.